All right. Well, welcome. I am thrilled today to be welcoming Leander to the channel from Quickbit, the crypto boutique. Leander, very excited for our conversation today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and chat with you. So,
Awesome. Well, let's jump into it. As I often like to do when we have these discussions on the channel, let's start with you. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. How'd you get into Bitcoin? What did that journey look like?
I was a part of a group in Regina called Crash Bang Labs, and there I had some family members involved quite early on. I would say I think one of my family members tried to buy Bitcoin probably back in 2011. I think he first heard a CBC interview, and that's kind of when he started to get interested in. They kind of brought me to Crash Bang Labs meetup, and those guys. It's a Crash Bang Labs is a maker space or a hacker space. So the demographic of some of the OG Bitcoiners, and kind of just grew from there. It became sort of a family tradition, I guess you could say, and so I've always been kind of around it since, I must have been 14, 15 or something like that. Didn't quite understand it at that point as you're not really too interested in the monetary or, the whole political thing when you're 14, 15 years old. So it was a fun project to do some stuff with, but I never quite got it. And then fast forward a little bit, I was doing some photography, trying to accept Bitcoin as a photographer. And so it's just kind of, I've grown up around it, I guess you could say, in a way. And then in 2021, I came full time as with Dale and at the crypto boutique.
Amazing. No, and let's talk a little bit about that because I think as a Bitcoin educator, I'm always fascinated to see some of the different ways and methods that people are, that people are using to get people up the learning curve. So as folks can see behind you, you have the lovely, sleek looking. So this is the crypto boutique, and then there's also, I guess, the Quickbit ATMs. Like, just talk us through a little bit about the history of the company. What are the different components of the business? How has that sort of evolved over time?
For sure. So Quickbit started back in 2014. Dale started it, and then started with one ATM. I believe it was the first Bitcoin ATM in Regina, maybe the second in the province, but one of the very first few kind of in Canada for sure as
Wow.
well. Grew from one ATM all the way up to we now have 11 Bitcoin ATMs that we operate in
Cool.
Regina and our province and some of the more rural communities as well. And then in 2021, more and more people were interested, asking a lot of questions. Dale figured I better open up a shop where people can actually come visit us because, ATMs, meeting in a gas station to have an hour conversation or a 2 hour conversation trying to, explain to someone how Bitcoin works is not necessarily the most comfortable. So Dale opened up in the shop in 2021. And that's kind of when I came on full time with Dale. And now we provide a couple services. So we still do our Bitcoin ATMs, which are a really awesome way to get into Bitcoin if you're just starting out, super easy. We provide education as well. Usually our education is free. You can come in, ask questions about Bitcoin. We're all about the community and making sure that people learn how to do it properly, because if not, you can lose your sats, which really sucks for everyone all around. And then we also have hardware wallets, more apparel type stuff, gift type stuff. So we're partnered with Trezor. We just recently brought on Cold Card. We also have Blockstream, as well as some of our, more notable ones, I guess. I shouldn't say more notable. They all have great features in them as well. And so we kind of do that aspect as well. And we run that in both in stores so people can come in, physically touch them, which is cool. And then we also have our online platform where people can order them. So those are kind of the three main things that we do: is the education, the wallets, and then the Bitcoin ATMs.
No, I love that, and I think it's very interesting. I mean, you even in the recent, obviously being in the U.S., I have more sort of visibility of that. But you've seen banks like Capital One start to spin up these almost cafe like bank branches, right? With the similar thesis of, okay, people like and appreciate and value having someone that they can actually talk about, as it relates to different financial things, and that is certainly the case for Bitcoin, which is of course new to a lot of people. So, even though most people listening may or may not have the chance to, although if you find yourself in Regina up in Canada, you should definitely go check this out. But I think it's an interesting seed to plant for people, and something that I hope we will see, as additional kind of Bitcoin entrepreneurs go out into the world, really, like, we think of Bitcoin fundamentally as this, as this digital money, and that is a big part of its benefits. But I would encourage people to not forget the sort of physical aspect of what makes human interactions, I think, stick all the more, right? Like, I could point people to one of my videos and say, hey, go look at this tutorial, but it's far more impactful if I can sit down with that friend or family member and actually talk them through it. To your point, have them, touch the Trezor device or whatever it is. So I love that. And I hope, folks listening will kind of keep that in mind. And then you mentioned the online store, which is very cool. So folks can check that out and get all sorts of different hardware wallets. You've been around hardware wallets for a very, very long time. How would you recommend people think about the selection of a hardware wallet? What goes into that process for you and the Crypto Boutique when even thinking about which hardware wallets you want to put, in the store? What would your recommendations be for someone looking to take self-custody potentially for the first time, or maybe they've already done it but they want to really step their game up?
So there's a couple things. First off, we don't just take any wallet on as a company. There's a couple examples out there. I won't name any names, but there's, one wallet manufacturer that came to us in particular. There was no way to get the private keys off the device. So there's no real way of telling if that's a pre-generated key, if it's generated when it gets on your device, or if you even lose the device and, then what do you do? Right. Or, so there's a couple things like that. The biggest thing is your private keys are always the most important aspect. Always make sure that you can get those off, A, and B, that they're secured really tight. And not all wallets do that the same, and there's a lot of different ways that manufacturers go about that. And, if one's greater than the other, it's not really to say, but that's one of those areas you kind of have to choose, which direction you're going, right? That's kind of that closed source versus open source debate. There's, with closed source, there's benefits to it in the fact that, yeah, you can, there's security by obscurity, whereas open source, anyone can audit that code and be able to tell. But, so there's two ways that a lot of companies go about it. And, with secure element chips, that gets into a weird world of NDAs, which is why Trezor's come up with Tropic Square, which is essentially an auditable secure element chip, right? And that's really important as well. So typically what I look for is security. I also look at the company. Are they a trusted, reputable company? How long have they been around? What else have they done? Yeah. If they've done anything else, what are their principles? Are they open source? Is there a way to look at it? The other thing is, go and watch lots of YouTube videos and see what fits, because it's just like anything. What fits for you is going to be better than what fits for someone else. Because in my opinion, just as much of a risk of losing your Bitcoin to someone trying to steal it from you is probably yourself. So really making sure that it's something that you can understand really deeply, or at the very least know exactly what you're doing with, and you're able to, just full out understand it. Because, and every Bitcoiner's done it, I'm sure everyone's lost their private keys at some point and is biting themselves in the butt, right? Or kicking themselves in the butt about it. But, so that's, in my opinion, one of the biggest threats to Bitcoiners is ourselves, and, really taking care to make sure that it's a device that we're comfortable using, and also the security as well, right?
No, excellent. Yeah. And I think that makes sense. I always encourage people to take baby steps, right? Crawl before you walk, before you run. And, is something you alluded to as well, is kind of the use case too, right? Like, I might have an Arculus as an extra layer of security for a more sort of spending wallet type thing that I could have more on the go, versus something like a Trezor or a Blockstream Jade I might have for my kind of longer term, saving. So some of these even have like potentially distinct use cases as well within your sort of Bitcoin life, as it were. But no, that all makes sense. And I guess that gets into another question I wanted to pick your brain on, like, this idea of kind of trusted resellers. Like, what role does that play? How do you see that fitting into the broader space.
For sure. So some of the things that I would say is, first off, you shouldn't buy a hardware wallet from anywhere. That's the major thing, right? Places to avoid are Amazon. Not that Amazon's a bad, evil company, but they do a thing where they mix essentially their listings, right? So you don't actually really know who you're buying your wallet from at any point in time. You can't go and directly buy from someone, right? eBay, another kind of, anyone can list them. Avoid Facebook marketplaces and stuff like that as a whole, because again, you just don't know who you're buying from. But like ourselves, we're partnered and authorized dealers of multiple brands. We take our client security very seriously. All our wallets are shipped out in tamper-proof bags with serial numbers on them that you can reference on our website. We have a little tool that you can put in your serial number in, and just so we do everything we can to make sure that we maintain that integrity throughout the entire process. But lots of these manufacturers aren't based in Canada, right? I mean, Trezor, I think they're from Czechia, and Crypto Tag, they're in Europe as well. Some of the manufacturers are from Taiwan, or there's a million places that they actually come from. Very few of them are manufactured in Canada or even the United States, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of things that go on there. One would be like customs, obviously, paying customs fees, or even if customs has to open up your package to look into your wallet, right? And then it's tampered with, you can't use it, or you shouldn't use it anyways, right? So that, I mean, I'm not sure how often that does happen, but I'm sure it happens, right? Customs is opening stuff all the time, which is their job, so you can't really blame them for it. We get all our wallets in and we check them all, and you can avoid the customs ordeal pretty much entirely. Fast shipping, we can get wallets to people with overnight them essentially. So your wallet breaks down, you need access, or you want to get your Bitcoin back into a wallet right away, we can get it to you almost overnight, right? Anywhere in Canada. So that's a big benefit as well. And even the States we can ship to pretty easily. And then we're now offering sats back, which a lot of the manufacturers aren't right now. And that's with Joltz, which is super, super exciting. I think that's a really great fit for us. And yeah, I mean, also we have a phone number listed right on our website. It's not, you don't have to go through a bunch of forums to get our phone number. It's literally just right on the bottom of our website. You can just call us anytime. We like to pride ourselves on our customer support and being able to help you choose the right wallet, because not everything is for everyone, right? So
no, I love that. And it's a good segue into rewards. I guess before we get there, just a few thoughts and comments. I think that's a big deal, right? And you guys have been demonstrating your sort of proof of work for a long time now, right? It's not just, oh, here I am, I'm a random reseller, right? I think that goes a long, long way, especially in this space. You guys have the proof of work to back it up. I also personally find, you guys to be extremely convenient when it comes to this idea of like diversifying your exposure and reliance to what, like, right, in a similar way as to you want to have the best security setup that you possibly can for your long-term Bitcoin savings. There's this argument of, well, why trust all of that into one particular device manufacturer? And so, of course, what you can do is set up a multi-sig setup, grab yourself a Trezor, an Arculus, whatever else, and you guys become this very easy way to get multiple, different manufacturer devices at the same time, which I think goes a long way. And I think increasingly you're seeing people who, okay, I've taken self-custody for the first time. You continue to learn, you continue to accumulate and build your stack, right? You suddenly want to think about ways to improve your security, and certainly multi-sig is one good way of doing that. We've got a lot of videos on the channel showing folks how to set that up. The guys at the Crypto Boutique have some great signing devices that you can use to create that multi-sig. But anyway, getting into the rewards bit, because I do think that's a big differentiator. As part of Joltz, I'm obviously thrilled to be partnering with you guys. So talk a little bit about, what you think Bitcoin Rewards, does and brings to the business, and tell people a little bit about the reward offer.
Well, we're all trying to stack sats. That's the that's the simple answer, right? We all want to get as much Bitcoin as we can back into our wallet. So, any rewards program is great, but specifically with Bitcoiners, we don't want cash back. We don't, that doesn't matter to us. We want orange money, right? So I think it just makes sense, right? It's something that we can offer that's really special to our clients that they can do. And also your guys' program is probably one of the easiest I've seen too. It's directly integrated right into our store. It pops up an invoice when you're ready to go and you just claim it. There's no, like no browser extensions you need to deal with, nothing like, you're not going through all this headache just to get some rewards back, right? Which is really awesome. So just being able to make your purchase and it just walks you straight through the process is super simple. And we really like that, but also just something that we can offer our clients is a really nice reward and something that we actually want. And that's important to our lives. So
there's few deals I can think of that are better than, and obviously you guys offer a range of payment methods, but for a lot of people who, hey, I could spend my dirty fiat on a device or a couple devices that can, meaningfully improve my self-custody and security of my Bitcoin holdings and get some sats back in the process for doing that. Pretty good deal.
Super good deal, I would say. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that, right? It's just makes all the sense in the world. You get some Bitcoin, you get your hardware wallets, you get rid of the greenback. So it makes life a lot easier for everyone, I think. So.
Love that. Well, where can folks go? Where can folks go to get their hands on some of the great products and some of those sats back?
For sure. So you can go to the cryptoboutique.ca. Super easy website to use, I think anyways. And yeah, we got lots of products on there. We try to categorize everything by sort of brands. So again, we carry multiple brands, wallets. So, and we're working on some more bundles as it is too. We have a couple set out right now, but bringing up the multi-sig thing, I think we'll do some purposefully built bundles designed for multi-sig as well. Kind of, again, taking that risk off of being with one manufacturer and being able to utilize multiple. So that'll be, I think, some bundles that we'll be putting together in the future for sure.
Love that. Well, look, folks, you know what to do. Go check out the Crypto Boutique. I will put their website, of course, in the description down below. But Leander, props to you and the team. I love what you're doing. I love the kind of educational component that you're bringing to this, because I think that's so important. For me, at least, it remains, I think, the number one piece to continue working on to drive adoption, right? You ask the normal person on the street, yeah, sure, maybe they say something like, well, the environmental thing that I've heard. But in most cases, for me, it is simply, I don't know that much about it. And so, having that kind of layer of support, I think is a really, unique approach. And now that you've sprinkled some Bitcoin rewards on, it makes for a perfect puzzle. So thanks once again, Leander, for coming on the show. It's been great. And folks, you know what to do. Go show Leander and the Crypto Boutique some love.
Thanks so much for having us. And we look forward to keep working together. So
cheers. Looking forward to it.
Cheers.